Product images that attract and convert. In this lesson, you're going to discover how to create product images that are appealing and that will help you convert sales with your product. So, images are the second most important element of your product listing after your title, and they are the most important when it comes to conversions. The one drawback to online shopping is that you can't touch and feel the product. Your images have to provide this sensory experience as much as possible. So what types of image can we use? Well, the first one is the main product image, and this is the image that potential customers will see on Amazon search pages. Then you have secondary product images, for instance, different angles. Then you can have lifestyle images, which basically show the product being used, and instructional images, if your product needs instructions. And you can also have product accessories or components. Now, the minimum size should be 1000 by 1000 pixels, but bigger is better. The reason this is the minimum size is that, as you will see, this is the size that allows a prospective customer to zoom in on your image without having to click it. So your main product image, it should have a pure white background, something like this, and it should have no badges or text, and it should be the product only. And these are Amazon's guidelines, and a square image is best. If possible, get all the extra white space cropped out, as you can see with this picture on the right, and it should be as high quality as possible. And as we mentioned before, an absolute minimum of 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. So secondary images, you can have any color background, but again, square is best. And again, you want them as high quality as possible. And use lifestyle images. You see the one on the right? That's actually someone using a product, in this case a watch. And again, another lifestyle image of someone using the watch. And you can also have images of the accessories that come with the product and also components. In other words, what comes in the box. So how many images should you use? So product listings have 9 image slots. However, not all show without clicking a button. But for the vast majority of products and categories, 7 images will appear without you having to click on them. But even so, try and use all 9 slots. Remember, the main image should be the product only, and then lifestyle images, different angle product images, instructional images, and accessories or component images. So how do you get images done prior to inventory? Well, you can take a photograph of your sample. Obviously, if you have a logo being printed on your product, that won't show up, but it's enough to get you started. And you can just use a smartphone for this, or if you have a digital camera, even better. Then go to pixelz.com, and it's pixelz.com, to remove the background. It's a really cheap service. I think it's about $2. You upload your picture and they will remove the background for you, making it a pure white background. And you can also go to fiverr.com and search remove image background, although this will be a little more expensive. And when you have a label, you can get a graphic designer to add the label to your sample photo if your product has a label on it. And you can also do this with your logo. Upgrading after inventory. So ask your supplier to express you 1 or 2 units before inventory is shipped. Or once it's arrived at Amazon, create a fulfillment order to send the product to a photographer. Now, there are a huge number of services out there to get photograph images done. One we recommend is productphotography.com. Now, a warning, they are expensive, but they do deliver high quality images and also are capable of doing some lifestyle images. Alternatively, after your inventory's arrived, if you didn't get your supplier to send one, just create a fulfillment order to send the product to yourself and then take pictures. So lifestyle images. Now, lifestyle images are one of the most important photographs or images you can get done for you, because the vast majority of customers want to see the product actually being used. So you can use your product image and stock photographs. And this is what most services that you can find online will do for you. You send them your product image and they will Photoshop your product into a stock photograph. Now, if you haven't got Photoshop skills yourself, then just find a designer to create the lifestyle images for you. And you can also use a photo enhancement service. Check out the Private Vault for more recommendations. But there are so many of these services, simply doing a Google search could enable you to find a really good service at a reasonable price. Now, alternatively, you can have a photographer create the lifestyle images using a real human being and your product. In other words, no Photoshop. So using the watch example, you might get a friend or family member who looks good on camera, let's face it, to wear the watch and use it in different settings and take pictures. And again, There are photographers out there that will provide this service for you. But let's go take a look on Amazon, and I'm going to show you some different examples of good images and bad images. Okay, so I'm going to pick on this product. It's a huge brand and they're doing a very poor job. For starters, they're only using 2 different images. And as you can see, they've created a very thin image. It's much higher than it is wide. So as a result, you're seeing all this white space either side of it is just wasted. And again, they've only used 2 images, which is insane. They've got no lifestyle images, no instructional images. It's very, very poor. And again, it's another example of how you can compete with big brands. But let's look at the next example. So one extreme to the other. You can see this is virtually square. It's actually very similar to the image I showed you in the slides. But you can see they're using as much of the space as possible. And it's also fabulous zoom. You can see how big that is and how easy it is to see everything. And the next image, although it's exactly the same, no change of angle, you can see it's showing something different on the screen. And then this one is not zoomable. They've kind of let themselves down here. This one is zoomable. This is a different angle shot. Then you've got front and back. Again, I think they could have done a better job of using up all this white space. And then we've got a head-on shot. Again, they've used a lot of the white space, so that's good. And then with a different display. So they've done a pretty good job. And I just want to show you why it's so important that you use as much of this space as possible so that your image is as big as possible. If we look at the search results here and we compare these 2 images, so the image we just looked at and the one above it with the headphones, you can see if someone's looking at this, that this image is going to jump out a lot more. So you want your image to stand out. If all these other images were the same size as this one, then this one would jump out at people. And that's what your image's job is in the search pages. It's to attract attention, the same as your title. Now, while they've done a great job with their image, they've done a pretty poor job of the title. But let's move on. So this next one, it's looking good, right? Nice big images. They've got all these different displays on each watch. But this is the main product image. And this badge here, 1 year extended warranty, breaks Amazon's TOS. You will see a lot of sellers try and do this and put badges here. But I can tell you from experience of all our members, all it takes is for Amazon to notice this, and then their action is going to be one of 2 things. They'll either just remove this image, so the next one will be your main image, which isn't so bad. But sometimes they actually remove all your images and put some really terrible images up instead. Normally ones they take themselves. So don't break it. We've figured out over the years that Amazon do have a totting up system. The more transgressions you have with them, in other words, the more times they have to notify you that you're breaking their TOS, the more likely they're going to suspend your listing or something worse. So stick to the rules. You'll notice everything we teach you in ASM is to stay within the rules. We work too hard to build these amazing businesses to risk any part of that business just for what amount to silly little things that make very little difference. So don't do this. Now this next one is another TomTom watch, and I'm using these because they're really good examples, not just because I like watches and I don't own one of these. But again, you can see they've used all the white space. The zoom is fantastic and it's looking good. The difference with this one is they've used a lifestyle image and they've made that zoomable too. And you can see, I can zoom in on the watch and see that this guy is wearing this watch. And then we've got another shot of it sitting. I'm assuming it's meant to be in a gym, and you can see it's connected to this iPhone. Then we've got another shot of a guy, again, wearing the watch on a treadmill. And lastly, they're showing you an image of it being connected to your computer. So they've done a really good job. And the last image, you'll recognize this from the slides. They've added one of the accessories that come with it. So all in all, this was a very good use of images. Now, this one's interesting. At first glance, I put my cursor over it and you can see it's not zooming. And you'd be thinking, well, they've done an awful job. But in certain categories, the images aren't zoomable without clicking. So if I stop, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, it's changed to a plus sign. And if I click, then it zooms in. And this is just a different way Amazon have of doing it. So they've done a perfectly good job with this. It just happens that they're in a category where it's not automatically zoomable. So I click again and it goes back. But they have done a really good job. And what I really like about this listing is we can see we're talking about purple. Well, they call it plum. If we go to the lifestyle image, just click on it and zoom in, you can see that she's wearing a purple wristband and happens to be wearing a matching t-shirt. And again, another shot. I won't zoom in, but you can see it's a purple wristband. And again, fashion conscious. She's wearing a purple shirt. These images will appeal to people. Then they've got an image showing multiple different colors of wristband. And this is what we call an infographic. Well, it's a type of infographic. And again, you wouldn't be able to use that on as your main image. And then you see this 2+, that means they've got 2 more pictures. So we click on that and you'll be able to see all the pictures they have. And this is an infographic. You can see it's describing the sizes. And then the next one is actually, if we zoom in, it's telling you all the different things that each of their watches does. It's not just applicable to this one. So again, they've done a really good job considering they're in a category that doesn't have auto zoom. However, what I really think is clever is if I click on the blue one and we go to the lifestyle image on this one, you'll see that he's wearing a blue one. Now, I've got a sneaky suspicion that this is actually photoshopped. I think this is a stock image that they've photoshopped their watch onto. But again, and this one, not sure, I'm looking at that shadow, that looks pretty authentic. But you can see, it's the blue watch, they've got the blue strap. This is going the extra mile and I really like it. The fact that they'll have different lifestyle images depending on which variation you click on. So again, they've done a really good job. Now, this next one, I just wanted to show you this one image because it's an instructional image. You can see it's telling them exactly how to use the pump. And if I was selling a pump, I would probably think to myself, well, I don't need to do this. Why would I need to tell someone how to pump up a bike tire? It's not exactly rocket science. But having images like this help, and especially with more complicated products. So that's what an instructional image looks like. And again, they've maxed out the size, so it's really easy for anyone to zoom in and read. Now, this is another infographic. I just wanted to show you this. You can see they're just talking about the super fit clever valve. We did talk about this in previous lessons about Presta and Schrader for a pump, and you can see that they're showing this, that theirs works with both with ease. And if I look at the last one, it's another infographic. This is basically a stock image with some text on it, and they've just superimposed their product onto it to show that you can actually use their product not only for bike tires, but also for basketballs or footballs. So again, smart work. Another clever image, this one. They haven't spent a lot of money on this. I think they probably did this themselves, but it's still very useful. Again, you can see it's zoomable, and they're showing that their pump can be used with a motorcycle, a car, or a bicycle. So again, it's a useful image to use. And they've also got their Presta and Schrader image. You can see different sizes, and again, they're showing basketball, football. Okay, if you're in America, basketball, soccer ball, and a football. So again, really clever use. And these images are very simple to do. You can find people to do this for you. Most people will charge you a very small amount for this because for someone who's used to using Photoshop or any kind of editing software, doing something like this is incredibly easy. I just want to show you one more infographic because again, it's a different type. You can see it's got the product in the middle and it's kind of lifestyle because it's on someone's hand, but then they've added in text all these other bits and pieces of information. So again, this is a great image you could use on your listing, this kind of thing. And again, it's fairly simple to go and find someone to do this for you. Check out a Resource Vault or even just go to fiverr.com and type in infographic. You'll find a ton of people who are willing to do this for you at a very reasonable price. So we've covered how to create your product images and the different types of images you are going to use on your product listing. Next, you'll discover how to set your initial product price to start getting sales straight away. Your action step, once you're ready, create your product images ready to upload them when we do a full setup of our listing. But that's it for this lesson. Take care.